to me.
Tell your nigga to be
quiet.
Talk to me. Tell your nigga to be
quiet.
quiet.
Now you talking to me.
Tell your nigga to be
Back
quiet.
to what we was talking about.
Whatever.
Try that body shot shit.
I'm gonna stop you. I'm gonna stop you. Easy. That shit gonna be easy work. I promise you.
I'm
it don't
solid
matter.
as a
I'm
rock.
gonna knock you out, bro.
Oh,
you getting hurt.
That's fact.
You got hurt by getting bored. You got hurt by getting bored. Yeah.
You got hurt by on Campo. You got hurt by Campo.
What if I got hurt by Campo?
And you got hurt by Campo. And you got hurt by Campo.
When? We seen you get wobbly leg. We seen you get wobbly leg.
Then what?
We seen you
after that.
It don't matter.
After that.
Wait
till I hit you.
Sorry.
You gonna look like Benavidez.
You. Yeah, one leg.
You gonna look like one leg.
Yeah, one leg.
I'm gonna make you get a stanky leg.
What you want to bet on that?
What you want to bet on?
You can bet 100,000 on that.
Let's bet $1 million.
Easy.
Let's bet $1 million. You getting that money?
Hey, Dre Spector Boxing here with another one. As always, like, comment, and hit the subscribe button, man. I really need you guys to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Bang on it, bro. I want to get those subscribers up. That way I can keep bringing y'all content. I'm trying to get y'all some different content, man. But the hot topic is Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. And I want to take a little deeper dive into the business side, because a lot of people think that their arguments are valid for a fight to come up next between Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. And we would all like that, man. I would like nothing more than them to fight next. I don't want to see, because the hype has surrounded those two guys. So I don't really want to see Porter versus Spence. But I understand why it is necessary, because it is a negotiation tactic. So if Errol Spence has 2 belts to bring to the table, 3 belts to bring to the table, or something of that nature, that's better negotiation with him being bringing more fans to the table. That's more for negotiation. Dominant fashion in which he's winning. That's more points for negotiation. And we have to understand the business side of this. These guys want to fight. These guys don't care who they fight. They just want to fight. They want to box. They want to show people that they're, you know, the better boxer, the better fighter. And it's not a problem with getting the fighters to come to the table. That it is in the history of boxing, it was never problems getting more than less. It was never problems getting the fighters to come to the table to fight. It was always the negotiation side of it, the business side of it. The money had to be right. You know what I mean? So it's the politics of boxing which keep boxing away. And people will want to jump and say, well, it's Bob Arum that'll hold this fight back, or it's Al Heyman that'll hold this fight back. Those are not the guys that are going to hold this fight back. What happened is these fighters have signed promotional deals and contracts, TV contracts with networks. So being that Crawford signed a deal with ESPN, they have certain obligations to ESPN. So they have told ESPN, we're gonna put on X amount of fights, this fight, and then when we're gonna make a super fight, they promise these networks different things in these deals. And these networks need to capitalize. They need to get a return on their investments. Their investments are putting in $3 million a fight for Terence Crawford. They need the return on that investment. They need them to have big fights. They need them to, you know, those fights to generate money for the networks, generate, you know, viewership to the network. So it's not just a fighter. Oh, I don't want to fight this guy next. So it's not always the best idea to fight a certain fighter next. With this fight being looming as a super fight, and it has been since the hardcore boxing fans have been talking about it when these guys were in 2 different weight classes, and you can see them and their rise coming up. Terence Crawford being ahead, which he had already been a champion and was unifying, and Errol Spence on the brink of becoming a champion and probably the king of the 147-pound division, which people were predicting, and it has came to fruition. He is the new king of 147. He has proven a lot at 147, as well as have been avoided by the top 147-pound fighters in unification bout possibilities. So with that being said, again, we need the casual fan. We don't need the hardcore fans for this fight. The hardcore fans are going to be there. We want to see the fight. We'll get that fight. the casual fans have to get behind this fight. We need a lot of traction behind this fight. So as much as you can, tell people about these fighters. Tell people about what they bring to the table and who, you know, if you think Terence is the better fighter, tell people about Terence. Tell people about Terence, but then you also have to mention who is a possibility or a threat to Terence, which will be Errol Spence. Vice versa. You tell people about Errol Spence. And then when you mention who is a threat to Errol Spence, you talk up Terence Crawford. It's a possibility. I'm not saying he beat him, but it's a possibility, and it's what a lot of people would think. And if you gain that talk and that traction behind this fight, then it starts to make sense for networks to come to the negotiating table together, because they'll make a lot of money. The promoters don't care what network has this fighter. They stand to make money regardless. But they've already signed contracts with Al Heyman signing a PBC contract with Fox to put on a certain amount of fights, and they already have locked in fight dates. He has obligations to Fox. So vice versa, with Terence Crawford signing to ESPN, he has now had to have obligations. They have fight dates that they have to uphold for ESPN. The promoters could care the fuck less. And Bob Arum and the management team with PBC, they can care the fuck less where they fight, how they fight, because they know the fight will generate a lot of money. If they fight on pay-per-view, whatever, pay-per-view Showtime, pay-per-view Fox, pay-per-view ESPN, they don't give a damn. It's gonna sell. It's gonna make money. But the networks want to get a return on their investment from the contracts that they've signed with these fighters. And when that comes into play, now you owe, you know what I mean, your network. So you have certain obligations that you have to meet with that network. So it has to make enough money for the networks to share, you know, the viewership. Meaning, like, for them to say, hey, look, we'll put this on, we'll call it ESPN pay-per-view this time, or we'll call it Fox pay-per-view, and we'll split the revenue. It depends. That's how that Mayweather Pacquiao fight, with all the money that was on the table, it made sense to make that fight. And it didn't matter what platform it was really going to be put on, because they understood that they were going to split the money, the revenue from it. So they both were going to get paid. They didn't care whether they call it Showtime pay-per-view, I believe at the time I can't remember who Pacquiao was with, but it really didn't matter, because the money mattered. The money talks for these guys, you know what I mean, these networks to come to the table and make these negotiations. I guarantee you the promoters don't have a problem putting these two together. The fighters don't have a problem fighting each other. It has to make sense. And right now, the promotion companies are gearing themselves up to be in the best negotiation, be in the best, I guess, the best side, I guess, to be on when it comes down to negotiating. They have to be on what am I trying to get at? I'm trying to say, like, they need to put together the best argument for negotiations. I guess that's what I mean. So they need to put together an argument and say, hey, look, my fighter brings in more fans. My fighter is the more exciting fighter to watch. My fighter is dominating. My fighter is a champion. So it's whatever accolades that you can bring to the table when it comes to negotiating, because this is going to be a mega fight, and there's going to be a lot of money on the line. And when there are a lot of money on the line, everybody's going to want to get as much of the share as possible, or as fair of a share as possible. And a lot of promoters are not looking to give up 50-50 sometimes. You know, they may feel like their fighter is the more bigger draw. Their fighter is the bigger name, and they don't even need the other fighter. So when it's that way, then that's when you get in these splits where you see 60-40 and or 55-45, or, you know, sometimes you get 65-35. You know, it just kind of depends. I've seen fights as 70-30. Mayweather was giving those guys probably like 20%, man. I remember the Mayweather-Mosley fight. I think Mosley made maybe $6 million. I think Mayweather made somewhere around 30 to to 60 million, some shit around that. Man, look at that, man. He's trumping him when it came to the negotiation tables. And that's why he would say, I give you your biggest payday. He can make bragging rights like that because he is offering him his biggest payday. And actually in that fight, with that Mosley fight, Mosley, I believe, borrowed $2 million. He was going through a divorce at the time. I want to say he borrowed like $2 million from Oscar and was already in the hole $2 million before he even had the fight. So he owed money. And so he was in the negative. Man, it was a bad situation for him, but he really needed that payday. And Floyd blessed him with the biggest payday that he had up to date at that point. Again, these guys have a lot on the table, but don't for a second think that it's the fighters who are not wanting or willing to fight. That's why I say this fight is like a year away. They need more traction. They need more talk. They need more promotion. They need more publicity. The more they get, the more casual fans they start to draw in and get around this fight. It's easier to bring to a negotiating table for ESPN and PBC, Fox maybe, or Showtime, or whatever they're fighting under at the time, to come together and make a big show, big pay-per-view fighting event. And it will be a great event, man. And where would this event take place? The fighters are going to want to have say in that. And it depends. That's all a part of the negotiation. That's why I go back to say Al Heyman is freezing out Terence Crawford with opponents. Why would he give him great opponents? Well, he can give him good opponents. Like Khan is actually a PBC fighter. He fights for Al Heyman. He's managed by Al Heyman. He can give Khan away. Khan doesn't hold a title. So beating Khan just keeps Terence Crawford's name relevant. Because he needs Terence Crawford to be relevant for the super fight. He just don't want him to be the A side for the super fight. Giving him a title gives him more say for an A side of that fight. Errol Spence winning 2 to 3 titles gives him more of a say for that fight. And just to put that into perspective, think about the Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua fight looming. And Eddie Hearn has many times stated that Anthony Joshua holds all the belts, as if though that is his biggest stake and why he feels that he should get be the A side in the fight. So Deontay Wilder is on the outside trying to dominate his opponents to prove that he is the and bring in more viewership to prove that he in fact is the A side of the fight. So that's where that negotiation is going. That fight is going to happen as well, but again, they need the casual fans around that fight for it to make sense, because they signed to different promotional companies and different networks, and they have contract negotiations with their networks. So it's the same thing there. It's the same concept. You have to get the casual fan traction, and you want those promoters and management is trying to jockey to see who is going to be the A side of those fights, because the A side is going to have better a better say in the negotiations of the fight, where it takes place, what network is going to be on, all of that, who gets the lion's share of the money, all of that is going to be on the negotiating table. And the A-side fighter usually gets more so of everything that they want when it comes to negotiations. Let me know what you guys think about that, man. From what I understand, this is a fight that's going to happen. It's a fight that has to happen. It's not going to be avoided. Some people are saying, hey, this fight is never going to happen. It's not that it's never going to happen. It's just going to take a little longer than what you guys would want it to, being a hardcore boxing fan. We are the guys who come to YouTube every day, the guys who come and go and look at boxing news and different sites and stuff of that nature. we are the guys who are pushing for these fighters to fight. We're gonna watch regardless. They need the casual fans to get around this and build up more revenue for the fighters, you know, and for the networks, so that they can come to the negotiating tables and really make these fights happen. So that's Dre Spector. That's all I got on this one, man. As always, subscribe to the channel, man, and hit that subscription button, man. Also, like, comment, and we can get the debate going on what you guys think is holding this fight up. But I'm pretty sure it's gonna be from, like I'm telling you, the obligations that these fighters have to the promotional companies and well, not the promotional companies, really the networks. So that's Dre Spector, and that's all I got for you right now. That's it.